Up dog.
Up dog. Up dog.
Up dog sports talk.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Up Dog Sports Talk. I am your host, Matt Miller, joined next to me over here, if my computer screen will cooperate, that is Justin McGovern. What's going on, Justin?
What's up, everybody? Glad to enjoy the show today. Definitely, I know I did not say that right, but for everyone watching, I know definitely lately after like a fun summer, the past few weeks here have been kind of rough with, all you hear about these days are COVID, vaccines, and celebrity bathing habits for whatever reason. So we're here today to give you a break from all that crap. Matt, let's take us away here.
All right, so one of the biggest newses. All right, that's not off to a great start. One of the biggest news announcements for college football this summer was Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12 to go to the SEC. Justin, reactions?
Well, definitely it's a major shift in the college football landscape. I mean, just two major programs just up and leaving and going to the SEC. The SEC now, as a result, becomes easily the most powerful conference of college football. I mean, we used to be able to deny it, but now
there are four winners in this announcement. Texas, Oklahoma, SEC, and ESPN.
Yep. And definitely, we will argue that ESPN definitely had a big part in this move. I know for Texas, this is a huge thing for them. They finally get from under the shadows of the TCU Horned Frogs. Used to be it every year, so now instead of that, Texas gets to go and lose to Alabama. Oklahoma ran the Big 12. The best case scenario for the Big 12 is even if one team emerges to dominate the conference going forward, if it still exists, that it will take until I think like 2038 for a team to tie Oklahoma in Big 12 championships, which is just absurd.
Yeah.
But Matt, there is another winner in this situation. It is an SEC team. Congratulations to the Vanderbilt Commodores. They had a losing record to every team in the SEC until now. They had a record against Texas. So now Vanderbilt finally has a team that they have talking rights over.
Yeah, and then that'll go by the wayside pretty quickly.
Hey, you never know. Texas lost to Kansas a couple years back. So
shortly after that news, though, it came out that possibly USC and who was the other team? There was another Pac-12 team that was rumored USC, to leave. Huh?
Yeah, they talked about USC and Oregon.
UC and Oregon leaving the Pac-12 to go to Big 12 or even SEC. Like there was rumors floating around, and then all of a sudden, there's the map right now of where all the teams are. If you look at where Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, all of them are, that's where the SEC is. And then all the way over to the left is USC. So it wouldn't make sense to put USC in the SEC unless you created a new tier of college football.
Yeah, and like I think that might be we'll address Pac-12 here shortly, but like I mean, it just look how far out this is. This is so far out.
Yeah.
They would be so far from like the closest team in the SEC, or you even look at the Big Ten. They're still halfway across the United States from Nebraska.
Yeah.
But so definitely now the Big 12 has been rated. Matt, what do you think the Big 12 needs to do going forward to survive as a conference at this point?
They have two options. They can merge with the Pac-12. Hold on, I have a cat too in my cord. They can merge with the Pac-12, which was rumored shortly after this, and then I haven't heard anything since. Or what they could do is just take the good teams out of the American, make a stronger Texas conference, and then add in like UC, and then see if they can get a couple of old rivalries in there with UC. I think that will keep the conference alive, but right now, this second, Big 12 might be dead.
It's gonna be tough. There really is nothing they can do to replace Texas and Oklahoma. Those are two top tier programs you can build a league around. So their absence is going to be felt. But I mean, at this point, the Pac-12 merger is an option. It might be their best option, but it's a weird one, and it still wouldn't solidify them in the basketball end. It'd be kind of tough having an 18 basketball league.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we have a couple years before this actually takes place. So
right. So
anything could really happen. Texas and Oklahoma could back out and then stay in the Big 12. Like anything could happen.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why they have some time here to really, they're not going to make a move quickly. They're going to move slowly. They're going to do their research. You know, just like back in 2016, I think it was, they already did research and teams to add. So you would think they at least have some knowledge here. But definitely UC's made a lot of improvements since then. I feel like probably going and invading the best of the rest might be the best move to keep them in a good position. I'm not sure if they need to go all the way up to like 16 teams like the SEC. That might be too much for a league that won't get as much revenue, because they estimated a little more than half the league's revenues will be gone of Texas and Oklahoma out of there. But I would say definitely go for some strong programs here. Get UC in the conference. UCF is definitely would bring in Florida, get them access to more Florida recruits.
Well, really,
UCF would definitely
Orlando. That's about it.
Conference. And yeah, I know it would Orlando, but Orlando's still a big city. That is amazing.
That's true.
I feel like Ohio is a pretty big state to only have one major college football program when you consider they usually
they could add Toledo, they could add Miami in there. Miami's not that great, but it's a rivalry nonetheless.
But I think adding UC and UCF should be the top two options. Those should be the first two calls they make.
Houston.
There's a few other options. All of them are not that great.
Houston. Memphis.
Houston's a tough one because I don't know how Baylor, TCU, and Texas Tech are going to feel about that. They feel like they already have Texas pretty well covered, but if they do decide to expand their Texas footprint a little bit more, I do agree that Houston will be the best option there.
Yeah.
But now we look at some other leagues here. You mentioned the Pac-12 and merging with them. What do you think the Pac-12 should do in response to this? Do you think the merger even sounds like a good option for them, or should they consider expanding elsewhere?
The merger sounds good for them because right now, of the Power 5, minus the whole Big 12 situation, Pac-12 might be the least thought of conference. It's just like, it seems like no matter what sport it is, recruits tend to go east. And right now, California is hurting when it comes to getting in those recruits. Like USC will probably be fine for ever unless they have another Reggie Bush scandal. But the rest of the California teams, like Stanford's no longer relevant. UCLA, they're like second tier now.
Chip Kelly hasn't panned out too well there.
But getting like a random like Arizona State and I don't know, Texas Tech rivalry, that would be pretty awesome.
Well, no, remember several years ago when Patrick Mahomes is at Texas Tech, they played in some pretty wild shootouts. I think the score was 67-60 one year. So we could get more of that for sure. But
I think if they do it right, they can get a big TV deal and both conferences can benefit. But I think for the Big 12 to survive and help out college football, they need to maybe pick at the American a little bit.
Yeah. The Pac-12 doesn't really have the option of picking the American because you look at it, they're all.
I meant Big 12.
Oh, okay. But yeah, the Pac-12, they're all the way out here. Like they're really just, there isn't a whole lot for them to pick from, really. And no conference that can really pick at them either.
I mean, they could try to get like Boise State and maybe bump up Wyoming as a or San Diego State as like a last second heave, but yeah, like you said, there's not much out there. Like
Yeah.
the Idaho Vandals are competing to get into the Pac-12 at this point.
And I mean, I think big problem with it is that they can find quarterbacks and receivers out west, but it's getting difficult to get offensive linemen to go out there because the offensive linemen that are groomed in California, just simply put, everyone lives too much in the athletic lifestyle. The weather's great. It's good for, being athletic and being in good shape, but it's not good for developing offensive linemen.
No.
They
But I
aren't
mean,
big enough out there. And that's why you're starting to see like USC get pushed around. Stanford style of play isn't working anymore. They just simply aren't churning out the linemen anymore.
yeah.
That's why, like, for the Pac-12, I think a little bit differently here. I think maybe their best option will just be to nitpick. It would definitely require stabbing the Big 12 in the back, which that's what college athletics landscape is. Everyone's
Always
stabbing
has been.
backs. So I would say they pick out the best in there, get themselves a Texas footprint, grab TCU, Baylor, Texas Tech, and then also grab probably the best program remaining in the Big 12, Oklahoma State.
Yeah, that would be weird having them out west, but I mean, that will save both like all the teams that are remaining in the Big 12 and the Pac-12. I just think it's going to end up being like a tiered system, more so than it already is. I think SEC is probably going to turn into its own league, and then maybe, I mean, Ohio State will never leave the Big 10, but if they're persuaded to go to another level, they might. I don't think Notre Dame's quite at the point athletically to get to that point, but
Well, and let's also remember here that Texas has a reputation. I like them, and I also laugh at them because they have by far the biggest ego in college football. Every single conference that's added Texas has not survived having Texas. The Southwest Conference of the old days ended up dying. The Big 12 is currently dying. Texas might end up blowing up the SEC at some point with their ego because we're adding this, like even in this map, even though this map just measures out something different. Look at how their big Longhorn ego here. And now we're adding this with the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Floridas of the world who also have very big egos. That's one thing I'm excited about. I want to see just how that pans out. But so you talked about Ohio State, and I guess that allows us to pivot to the Big Ten. The Big Ten, you just saw this happen with the SEC expanding. What do you try to do, maybe to respond or not respond?
I mean, there was a rumor that I don't think it was from the Big Ten at all. Any of the schools, I think it was just some beat reporter trying to get some steam, but someone said grab Kansas, and that will help in basketball a lot, but football, it's another
No, not
I think if I'm
Kansas.
the Big Ten, I try to make sure that the SEC or ACC does not get Notre Dame. You add in Notre Dame, Cincinnati may end up stealing a few recruits from Ohio State if they're in the Big Ten, but I think that will help grow the program, and then maybe like steal West Virginia.
So yeah, Big Ten, definitely. I agree with you, Matt. The first call is Notre Dame. Try to talk them into it. Hey, your games used to always be on TV, but now your home opener this year
On the Peacock app.
it's a streaming network that no one has, so no one can watch your games anymore. We have the Big Ten network. Everyone can see your games nowadays. Come on over and have a good time with the rest of us. That
Only the first game. I think they're just testing it out, and then they're going to realize it flops, and then they're going to be like, well, maybe. I think that's going to be the deciding factor for Notre Dame if they go to a conference or not. Because if they start getting put on the Peacock app that no one has, I know it's just
Right.
a sales thing to try to get more people to get the Peacock app, but no one's
I
going to end
feel
up
like
getting it.
it's going to be the opposite effect. No one's going to watch because no one wants to buy it.
I mean, it's good for people who cut the cord and don't get like any streaming services, but are still a fan. It's good for that, but also have it on TV.
Right. Yeah, it's
Like
just,
you're leaving one of the biggest names of college football out of the conversation because you want to develop some app. Like, whatever.
I know that was the silliest announcement I saw. I could not believe that.
At
I
least
mean-
it's just the first game. Like if it was
Right.
the UC game, I'd probably be a little pissed.
Yeah, it's mind blowing though. Definitely we're in weird times. I don't watch every Notre Dame game like you do, but like it's the first time the option's not available.
Mm.
But I would have to say maybe the next call will be a bold one. But the next move for the Big Ten should be to try to see maybe one of these ACC teams might think about moving. You know, talk to Virginia Tech, North Carolina, Clemson, NC State.
I think it would be intriguing to have
Yeah.
Clemson because you already have a little bit of a rivalry with Ohio State and Clemson
Yeah,
going
actually,
like postseason. So if you introduce that regular season, they'd get a lot of views. They would need a
No.
much bigger TV deal if they did that.
oh yeah, it would expand hugely. And I mean, for me, like definitely it's there. Like I have I despise Clemson, but it's like a respectful one, you know, just kind of
Yeah.
like little Wisconsin. But
Hanson.
but yeah, so I would say make those calls. It may not work, but might as well go for it. Probably a realistic expansion option would be West Virginia. Whatever you do, don't add Kansas. We already have Rutgers bringing down the football in the conference. We have one crappy football program with them. We do not need any more. No to Kansas. I don't care what they do for basketball. Yeah, we'll become the best basketball conference by far. I don't care about that. Don't bring Kansas in this. I would rather North Dakota State joins this conference than Kansas. And then Iowa State, they'll be okay, but I'd rather some other options that actually expands footprint a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's college football is in a weird spot, a really weird spot, because you can have it be one conference and then one team outside of that conference dominate college football, or two teams outside of that conference dominate college football. And then the rest of the country is just like, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
they're almost going to have to tier it again. And I don't want to see that. Like, I want to be able to watch Boise State play Arkansas, like, and not it
Yeah,
be
I
like,
want to see those programs get a chance to knock off the big dogs. You know,
yeah,
it's definitely what separates college football from the pro sports. Otherwise, it's just a lesser quality pro sport.
yeah. And now it's just a money grab because they see the players are making money and they want to make more money. So,
Yeah. But we'll cover the last conference here. Mention the ACC. What do you think the ACC should do in response?
they're going to push hard for Notre Dame. They know they have them pretty much already. It's just whether Notre Dame likes using the Peacock app or not. If Notre Dame gets fed up with their TV deal, look for a lot of conferences to start calling.
Oh,
And
yeah.
ACC will be number one on that list.
Yeah. I mean, the ACC, the commissioner made it very public that he wants Notre Dame to join the conference.
I mean, they're in the ACC for every other sport.
Yeah. And
It's
they
just
got-
football, they're not. Like, Big Ten's a better
Yeah.
fit, but ACC has the contract.
Yeah. And they got a better taste of it. The ACC is also stuck in a pretty tough deal until 2036, which they'll fall behind in revenue substantially if that remains the case. So in ACC, I mean, the option is they have to expand. In response to this, they have to expand. Notre Dame's the first option. West Virginia would be a fantastic fit in that conference. Bring back the West Virginia backyard brawl rivalry. West Virginia, Virginia Tech. There's a lot of natural rivals for them in this conference.
Yeah.
So I would say that is the next call they need to make.
Well, we are actually running short on time now. So great conversation. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll expand on it later in the season. Who knows? Stay tuned. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're at Updog Sports Talk on everything. even we're on TikTok now. I haven't posted anything yet, but we are on there. So if you want to give us a follow and make sure that if we do start posting, we know that someone's going to watch. But that's all we got. Peace.
Oh, folks.